frenzy and turn into a different person. This is where the action of the divine will takes effect. Not my will, but thine be done in and through and as me. Have you ever heard that? Not my human will. What is divine will? How is that directing me? We're talking about the 12 powers this year. I don't think we've gotten to will yet, but we will. I like that. Okay. So this is where the action of divine will takes effect. Because let me assure you, I will not experience the divine life if I'm in bed with the covers up over my head. Or I'm sitting around watching television all the time, watching other people live their lives. I have to be willing to take action. I have to be willing to move. And not just in that straight line, but I have to be willing to take the side paths, the side trips as well. And sometimes I have to look up in my consciousness to see all the wonders that God has in store for me in my life. Inside of my human mind, I can decide today to move in that direction that my God self is urging me to go. Instead of just buying into the present journey that is all-consuming in my life, like those donkeys were for Saul. I can set down that goal, whatever the goal is that I've been striving so hard to achieve for so long, knowing that God will provide all things. I can let it go and see what else is on the journey, within the journey. Even if I have made a firm decision and my mind is made up and the course of my direction is plotted in ink, I can choose to keep my eyes open to the possibility of something else, something better along the way. Now, there's a wonderful book written by Marcus Bach called The World of Serendipity. Anybody ever read it? No. It tells a story about legendary princes, the princes of Serendip, who encountered experiences that seemed chancy and strange, but in them they found amazing wonders of the world, where the unexpected was more rewarding than the things that they had hoped to find. Did you hear that? The book says that the same thing is happening to us. A great explanation for the word serendipity comes to us from Supreme Court Justice Benjamin N. Cardoso. I know, Cardoso, are you related to him? A Supreme Justice. Benjamin Cardoso? Well, he states, like many of the finest things in life, like happiness and tranquility and fame, the gain that is most precious is not the thing sought, but one that comes of itself in search for something else. I want to share a true story with you. It's about a 19-year-old boy who worked in a factory. It was really like manual, hard labor. And he would work from morning until late at night, picking up heavy scrap pieces of iron. And one day this 19-year-old was working, and to his dismay, a piece of heavy iron fell on his knee, his kneecap. And of course, he was in great pain, right? And his supervisor immediately was like, you've got to get to the hospital, get this x-ray, see what happened. He went to the doctor, had the x-ray taken, and at the bottom of the x-ray, the doctor wrote, kneecap okay, not broken. So the boy went back to work. Now listen to the rest of the story. This is a true story. Listen to what happens. Another doctor at the same hospital was on his break one day. Sat down at his desk to have a cup of coffee, was kind of looking around to read something, didn't find anything interesting, and sees this pile of x-rays that need to be filed. So he decided, that he would study the x-rays just to test himself. So he looked at the pile of x-rays, and he moved the pile, and one x-ray fell out. And he looked at it, and he immediately saw that this x-ray definitely showed cancer of the bone. He looked at the bottom of the x-ray and saw what was written, kneecap okay, not broken. And he found the 19-year-old boy's name, his number. He contacted him and he said, I have bad news for you. You have cancer of the bone. Unless we operate immediately, you might lose your leg. This is very serious. Unless we take immediate action, you might even lose your life. So the boy went in, he had the operation, they removed the cancerous growth, which not only saved his leg, but ultimately saved his life. I have a very similar story with my mom. My mom had her first heart attack in April 2004. And they went in, through that process, they took a chest x-ray. And in that chest x-ray, they found a cancerous tumor in her lung. She had lung cancer. Went in for the surgery, had the middle lobe of her right lung removed. Cancer removed, no reoccurrence. Back in 2010 years out, cancer-free. And you know, one of the things we always used to say, that heart attack was what? What was it for? To get her that chest x-ray. Why did that scrap piece of metal fall on that kid's knee? Isn't it funny, as if by chance that these things occurred, the 19-year-old boy would have never found that cancer in time. And who knows what would have happened with my mom with the cancer. Because with lung cancer, as many of us know, it usually doesn't present itself until it's in very advanced stage. It's common to think that the things that happen to us are not related at all. Especially when something bad happens that interrupts our life's journey. But perhaps the unexpected change in direction, this change in our life's journey, is simply bringing us to something better, to something higher, to something in the divine plan for our life. Perhaps it's bringing us to the journey within the journey. Now, I shared with you that the last 3 weeks has been really challenging for me. Many of you know that I had gum surgery on May 6th, and I had gum surgery on May 13th. So that was like, enough of a challenge, right? Enough of something to stress me out. But then on May 14th, my mom, who has been dealing with an infection in her leg, had a full-blown allergic reaction to an antibiotic that they gave her. So this is the day after my second surgery. But she's fine. You can see she's here. Still a little bit having the effects. At the same time, so stress beyond a description for both of us. I think if you follow me on Facebook, you know this whole story. Because I whine on Facebook. Pray for me. It's okay because the prayers help so much. I can't even tell you. At the same time, we have several caretakers that work with Mom, and one recently gave me a month's notice, and she's been working for us for several years. And then another proceeded to tell me that they were completely burned out with the situation and needed time off. This is like, while we're in our worst shape possible. And so I'm like, just processing this, taking this in. I have, if people know me, my friends know this about me, and I think you guys know, I've been on a journey for the last 9 years. Determined with one goal in mind, to take care of my father and to take care of my mother and keep them home regardless of what else might present itself to me. Very tunnel vision, right? Walking that straight line, going to find and retrieve that donkey. But life has a way of popping up with sometimes the bad situations, the scrap piece of iron falling on your kneecap, the heart attack. For me, it was a few years ago being rushed, to the hospital a couple times before I even finally hired some caretakers. So now, as everything's disraveling, and I'm meditating more and more and more with my meditation practices and reading the Bible, and really trying to listen to that inner guidance, to that inner voice. I'm seeing more and more the journey within the journey. That it doesn't have to be my way. or the highway. It could be a side trip. I could do this different. I could do this different. There is a word in Marcus Bach's book that I just love. It's an ancient word from the old Persian fairy tale called abakat. I'm going to try to say this. I love this word, but I don't know if I can pronounce it. Abacatitis. Abacatitis. Do you know what it means?
No.
It means that if something occurs in your life today that looks like an absolute disaster, good is going to come out of it. Abacatitis. I'm going to use that word if I can pronounce it. So I need to thank God that this apparent disaster has happened. Because if it didn't happen, I would never have turned in a different direction. I would still just be plodding along trying to retrieve the donkey. After these past few weeks, I pray I will always try to see beyond the immediate experience and know that every event is connected with something higher. Emerson once said, "The dice of God are always loaded in your favor." Do you believe it? Do you believe it when you're getting sick and having allergic reactions and falling down and spraining your ankle or, do you believe it? When someone comes up and says, "I gotta leave because I'm burned out with you," do you believe it? There are wonderful things that will occur if I'm but just willing to see. I have one last thing I want to share with you this morning about the journey within the journey. There have been many times in my life, folks, when I've chosen to stay on the road, pushing and plodding and moving only forward in that straight line to get to that goal. And you know what? I've gotten to the goal. I've made it. But guess what happens next? It becomes my worst nightmare. Then I'm setting a goal to get rid of the goal. Ay, ay, ay. If I'm truly open and honest with myself, I'm also aware of the many opportunities that I had when I was on that road to achieve the goal, of opportunities to do it a different way. But I was blind to those opportunities, and I made the choice over and over again not to go the higher way, but to stay instead on the path only leading to the donkeys in my life. Like I said before, instead of becoming the king of Israel, Saul could have said to the man of God, Samuel, "No, I don't have the time right now, but thanks anyway. I don't have time to go to your feast. I don't have time to get anointed. I don't have time because I'm on a journey for my father, and I love my father, and I'm going to get those donkeys." But the good news is exactly that. It's a choice. One time when I was so mad at my brother, you've heard this story. I was really, really mad at him. It's like a year or two after I came home. Because my brother doesn't do anything to help with mom and dad. He doesn't. He comes over came this week for 10 minutes. And I was so angry at him. So angry. And he was across the table from me. And he said, "Barbara," that's what I'm called by my family, "you made this choice. You chose to do this." And the light went on. I haven't really been, I'm not saying I don't get aggravated with him, but I haven't been really angry at him since that moment. Because he's right. I made the choice. You make the choice of the journey you're on. Don't complain to other people that they're not helping you out. Think about it. So it's a choice between my human will or my divine will of good. When I'm looking for the donkeys of my life, and when someone offers me something better, I can choose to step back from my human mind and say, "Wait a minute, is something wonderful happening to me right now? Maybe I want to consider this. Maybe I want to choose to take this side trip, to go in a different way, a higher way. Maybe it's time for me to take the journey within the journey. Maybe it's time for you to take the journey within the journey." Let us stand and join together in singing this song, "What a Wonderful Morning."